Hi, Kev here, Tabletop Upgrades, and this is a bit of a different video. It's more like a video blog, a vlog, if you will, and it's just covering some of the things I've been working on in the last week for Decline. Now, I had hoped to release a beta version this week, but just getting all those ideas out from my head onto paper is taking a lot more time than I thought. Things like character sheets and so on, I've just been scribbling on pieces of paper, and now they need to be in kind of a PDF format. So this video is going to be a longer one. It's me going through some of the rules in the greatest depth I think I've ever done. So if that sounds interesting, do stay tuned. It is a longer video, but I'll be doing a much more polished version of these rules in future videos. And you can see the first one that I did earlier this week about the prowl keyword for some of the enemy characters. So thank you, I want to say before we get into it, thank you for all the support, all the comments and encouragement and emails have been absolutely amazing. I can't believe people are watching these and taking the time. It's amazing and it's real motivator. That is the reason why I've picked this up again, because of all the lovely comments. So thank you so much. Anyway, I'll cut to a video of me showing you what I've been up to. What I'm going to show you now is one of the enemy character sheets. I'm going to be presenting these as part of the quests as and when they come up, but the full version of Decline will have a bestiary with all of the characters and rules and enemies in one place. But this is the format that I'm going with for now, and there may be some aesthetic changes going forward, but in principle, this is where we're at. So this is the Valandian Guard. It's quite a tough unit that appears in the first quest, and as I've mentioned before, in the first quest, you're not going to be trying to fight these. You're pretty green, you're not very tough, you have very little in the way of equipment. You're just going to be trying to escape these guys. So here we've got a little bit of flavour text. Hated, corrupt and feared in equal measure, the Guard are responsible for carrying out the will of the government. Nominally, they protect the state infrastructure and enforce law and order. In reality, they rove the land, collecting bribes and press-ganging non-contributors into the city's labour lines. They are equipped with repeating crossbows and deadly pikes. So something I've chosen to do is to give a stat block for the enemy. Now this is all pretty standard, so movement in inches 3, agility 3, which is sort of standard human. 3's a standard human with no particular training. A strength of 4, a toughness of 6, and the way I've decided to do toughness is to, rather than having additional armour rules and doing everything from a base, a guard is wearing decent armour, he's got a toughness of 6. Now, for the character, if you upgrade or craft yourself some armour, then it'll just give you toughness bonuses. But for simplicity's sake, we've got a strength and a toughness. We've got 25 wounds, and I'm going to come on to what happens when it's reduced to 0 in a moment. Now, I've decided to break out the ranged weapons and melee weapons because after some playtesting, it just didn't make sense that you could be firing from the other side of the map with no penalty. So what I've decided to do is give the ranged weapons the following format, if you will. So we've got range 6, strength 6, x2. x2 means how many times they get to fire it. So you can potentially rack up 2 hits. Strength 6 is kind of divorced from the strength of the character because it's a function of the weapon. You know, you could have a tiny little gnome firing a siege crossbow. The siege crossbow is the thing doing the damage. It's dependent on the gnome's agility, how able they are to wield this thing and hit an enemy, but it's the strength of the weapon. So I thought that made a lot of sense. And similarly, I needed to be able to differentiate between someone hitting an enemy with a pan and hitting them with an enormous pike like shown in the picture here. So they're getting a strength bonus here. Again, I'm not entirely set. This is one thing I'm not sure on. Maybe I will roll this pike into the strength of this character. But I was thinking of having different armaments on different of the same types of units, and a different quest, and maybe some Valandian Guard that I've got sword and shield, for example, and that melee weapons is a way that I can differentiate. So I'm not convinced on that. Now, as I come into the rules shortly, or the rules overview, the movement of the character, the first thing that happens is it checks line of sight. The enemy character checks line of sight. Then it follows some keywords. I'm going to do a separate video on the keywords. This is Prowl 2, and I did a video which I'll link up now as to how Prowl works. Basically, it's some random movement when it can't see. It's just looking around, it's roving, trying to find you, essentially. If it finds you, it'll take a quick shot. So it'll basically just discharge its crossbow twice. If it is in line of sight, then it'll follow the seeker. This is one of a few different movement keywords, but generally the first of the AI, I hate that term in solo gaming, but the automaton rules will be a movement command word. So in this case, seeker, it moves towards. And then it also benefits from pack tactics, which is another rule which I'll go into later. But if it's within an inch of other units of the same name, then it gets agility bonuses. And then the last bit is something I've added today, and I'm really happy with this thematically. I think this is going to add a lot to the game, and it's the last breath ability. So when any of these creatures go down to 0 wounds, then the last breath ability triggers. And in this case, it's cry for help. When this model is reduced to 0 wounds, all units sharing the same name move 3 inches towards it and make a melee attack if able. So it's the idea of guardsman going down and crying to his mates for help, and they're going to come rushing in and try and bring some pain to you, the character. Now, the last breath ability, I think, offers some really cool stuff that I can do in the game design. So what I'm looking forward to using this for is models that will die and come back a little bit weaker. So there may be, I don't know, some kind of undead unit that when it's slain, it comes back as a weaker zombie. It could be some kind of elemental that when it's slain, it actually explodes and does some blast kind of splash damage. There's lots of possibilities for this for this last breath ability, and I'd be really interested to know if you guys have got any cool ideas for it. So yeah, that's where we're at. Again, aesthetically, it may change a little bit, but for the first release, this is what's going to be coming out in a few days. So I'm going to go onto the quick reference sheet now. So this is the cheat sheet as it is now. It's just 2 sides of printable paper. It's a little bit of fluff at the start. And I am thinking of offering extra insight to people through a Patreon page to pay for artwork, to cover some of my time, because basically time that I'm putting into this game is time that I'm not putting into my business at the moment, and the business is within this space, so it's kind of complementary. But, I hate the idea, especially, cost of living crisis, etc., of people not being able to play it if they don't want. So there'll always be a free version you can get at. So on to the turn overview. So a little bit about the start of the game. There's a character sheet. I need to formalise that. It's just been on scraps of paper so far. It's one of the reasons why I'm delaying release a little bit. All these little bits are just taking time to put together. So there'll be a character sheet. You'll have the map, which I've shown in previous videos, and models. Now you'll be able to use M&Ms or Smarties in the UK, buttons, or I'm sure you may well have a stash of 6 or 10 or 12 or 15mm miniatures. Any of those would work great. You'll also need a standard deck of cards, so if you don't have one or you've lost it, go and buy one now before next week. Jokers are removed, and aces have a value of 1, a clue of 1. There we go, proofreading, that'll be changed. Aces have a value of 1, unless otherwise stated. Some of the mini games that I've previewed, aces high in the hand, low on the board. Jack 11, Queen 12, King 13. And then the first thing that happens in a round is the enemy acts. So you're always kind of on the back foot. I did have it with the player going first, but just after some testing, I found it's much better if the enemies go first and you're kind of trying to sneak away from them or react to what they're doing. It's like you're joining their story rather than just being the hero. It's not a game where you're the hero who just kills everything. It's something where you're thrown into this decaying world and you're just trying to survive and make the best of things. So enemies go first, check the line of sight, follow the keywords. If there is line of sight, they follow those keywords. And generally speaking, if there is line of sight, it will move towards. And then if it's got a ranged weapon, take a ranged attack. If it's got a melee attack, take a melee weapon, take a melee attack. Then we go into player upkeep. In the first quest, there's no fire or poison or any ongoing effects like that. But in future quests, there will be. So if something's on fire, it takes some ongoing damage. Resolve that for everything. I've also got a few tentative ideas of damaging infrastructure, like sabotaging things. So that's where damage to buildings and so on will come into play. Draw back up to 7 cards in your hand, and then it's your turn. And as I've mentioned in the past, the cards in your hand represent your energy, your will, your creativity in the world for that turn. If you run out of cards in your hand, then you've run out of ideas, energy, options. So you get this feeling as you play the game, you play through your turn, a sense of desperation comes in as you get through your hand. And again, as you go on, put in extra actions in place, requires you to put down additional cards. So it's like it's fatiguing. You know, if you running a marathon, the 26th mile is going to be harder than the first mile. So you get that kind of effect as well. But I'll quickly run through these, and I'm going to do, this is more of a video blog really. I'm going to do a nice concise video on all of these at some point. The first one, Prowl, came out. But for player actions, you get a free move, and you can do these in any order, but you get a free move, and the number in brackets is how many cards it takes for you to take that action. Additional moves are charged and cost 1 card, so discard 1 card per inch of movement. Another typo there. So move 3 inches, discard 3 cards, down to 4 cards. It's a costly action. Running, moving, when you're already tired, is going to take energy. At any point, you can discard 2 cards and draw a new one from the deck, and that just represents you stopping, crouching behind a wall, gathering your thoughts, bolstering yourself for the next attack. Maybe you can get something better out of the deck, and sometimes you'll have an absolutely garbage hand, and you'll want to just chuck 2 useless cards away, 2 2s, on the off chance you might get a 10 out of the deck, or a king even. Attacking we'll go through in a second, but basically you commit a card to attack, and you can attack as many times as you've got cards in your hand. If you're defending, you can improve your chances of defending by committing a card. And if you, again, I'll go through what lock-in does, but it basically allows you to manipulate the hands that come out. So it's not a game of chance, it's a game of strategy. Looting, gathering and crafting are things that are not going to come in really in earnest until the 2nd or 3rd quest. But if you kill something, discard a card, and you get to draw on a creature's loot table, and you'll be able to find the kind of items that you'll combine to make the items that are going to help you in the world. Gathering is searching the environment, so you discard 5 cards. It's a costly activity. You're literally looking around in a field for herbs or some kind of special rock, or maybe a type of magical cobweb that you need to combine as a reagent in a spell or to make a wondrous item. So that's a costly thing. So 5 cards go out of your hand to do that. And obviously you can't do these when engaged. And then craft is your entire turn. If mid-game you want to mix up a healing potion or you want to enchant an axe, then that's going to take your entire turn. And at the cost, the enemy's going to be on you quicker. But that's a choice you'll get to make. So we'll run through combat overview. And I keep saying it, but I'll do proper videos on this. This is just a little video blog. So I've said combat and decline's easy to understand and tactical. And it's split into 2 steps. You check fragility via a combat score. If the attacking creature's got a higher combat score, it hits. That's just a binary condition. Has it hit? Has it not hit? And then it moves on to calculating damage, and that's done through strength and toughness checks. And if a creature reaches 0, typically an enemy, then last breath abilities trigger, as I've mentioned before. So we'll go through enemy attacks first, just as an overview. So they can typically melee if they're within a ½ inch of the player. Now, what I think would be cool, actually, is if something has got a long weapon like the pike on the Volundian Guard, maybe it's 1 inch, maybe it's quite a lot, maybe it's ½ inch and base contact. Not quite decided yet. So they need to determine whether they hit. To do that, what they do is they flip a number of cards equal to its agility. So Valandian Guard, agility 3, flips 3 cards. Picks the best one out of those, let's say it's a 9, adds it to agility. It's got a combat score of 9 plus 3, 12. So now the player goes through that. And I should have said, step 1, before any of that happens, you get to commit a card out of your hand. So you're like, I cannot afford for this guard to hit me this turn. I'm going to commit a king out of my hand. So you're stacking the odds in your favour. King's worth 13. You could lock in a score of 16 potentially. So then the player flips a card in response. So they're fighting against a 12. Let's suppose they flip a 2. So 2 plus their agility of 3. They're on 5. This is no good. The guard is hitting at this point. So what they can do is they can spend a card to lock in out of the hand. They'll lock in that king that they committed earlier. Now we've got king 13 plus 3. 16 beats the 12. They don't hit. So that's how that works. And then if they do hit, typically it's a similar kind of damage calculation. So they flip cards equal to the strength. You get the option to commit and lock in cards, costing you cards in turn if you want to. That's the bolster defense and lock in actions. If it's strength 3, it flips 3 cards, and the difference between your defense total and their attack total is the amount of damage you take. Typically, you'll start off with about 15 wounds. So something like a Valandian Guard has the ability to kill you in 2 turns, which I think's right. You're a guy in a shirt running from a heavily armed militia. They would hunt you down if they could. A note about the ranged attack: if you're above halfway, so if it's a range 6 weapon and you're 3 inches or above away, then you take a -1 on the agility. So your agility becomes 2. Player attacks works pretty much the same, except the calculating damage is a touch different. Again, you get the option to discard cards. You must commit a card to attack. That's just the cost of attack. And you can use that by locking it in if you want. But the enemy only flips 1 card in response. So I found that if say it was a toughness 5 creature, they're flipping 5 cards, the chances are they're going to get a picture card or a 10 or a 9. You end up dealing no damage. Now, this represents, you're taking a lucky attack. You've hit them with whatever weapon is going to do some damage, and it helps you move through these enemies. And as much as I've said it's not a hero story where you can just beat everything, it will be a total grind if you're doing 1 damage a turn when there's 5 enemies with 25 wounds. So this is just a little thing that's through play testing. I'm sure you'll give me some feedback, but that is possibly a rambling, but maybe the most in-depth that I've gone on the rules and how some of these things are going to work. But like I said, I'm going to really put a bit of work into releasing nice videos. I want the rulebook to have a video rulebook option, so you click on one of the links and it gives you an example of how it works. So thank you very much for watching. I'm still getting hundreds of views on these. I think 200-300 views on some of these videos when they are very niche and very in-depth, though. You guys are fantastic, and the comments are just unreal. I really appreciate every single comment and bit of encouragement that you guys give me. So thank you so much. And yeah, if you've stumbled upon this, you thought this looked cool, and somehow you've got to the end of the video, then there'll be a link in the description for you to subscribe to the mailing list, because next week I'm going to be putting this out into the world. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.